What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. We are back. It's been a long time. Hopefully you're all having a good evening. Yeah, crazy, absolutely crazy for the last couple of weeks. I do apologize that it has been so long. I do apologize. Hopefully you are all well. I can see in the chat we already got Eleanor. Hey DB, long time no see. What's up? I'm good, Eleanor, thank you. Hopefully you're having a good evening, good day. What's up, DB? I heard we have interesting chance to talk. We have a lot to get into. A lot, so much. The first time I think I could sit here and say that we are pretty much gonna have a busy window, I think, and it's gonna be dealt with the same way as last season, pretty quickly in the window. So yeah, Pete, we got Ryan in the chat. Missed you, bro, man. I appreciate it, man. Much love for you as well. Pete, I like the new setup. Listen, look, the reason why, I'll be honest, before we get into everything, the reason why it's taken a while to put this out is many reasons. I felt ill really badly just after the season ended, and I couldn't upload anything. I didn't want to upload something shit, I'll be honest with you, just because of how I felt. Obviously I did upload a couple of shorts just for you guys, just to, obviously you can tell by my voice is better now and stuff like that. We was really feeling it over the last couple of weeks. You know, we've done a live stream last week with the playoff final in the championship, which was brilliant. We got a lot of stuff coming hopefully this season with everything. There'll be certain things changing to this channel, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get that, stick by it and go from there. But yeah, man, honestly, I'm kind of glad that we're getting into this now. It's been a while. A lot of shit to get into, pretty much. So we'll talk about majority of stuff to do with the channel pretty much further into the summer, but we're going to focus on today, the first DB show live, talking about QPR. We're going to do this QPR latest talk once or twice a week. We are, as you can tell, the setup, I'm still working on certain things with the setup, creativity and stuff like that to improve it. So this isn't the finishing touch. This is just a quick rush, just to get this live streams going. But thank you all for being patient and waiting. And obviously, thank you for your messages as well over the last couple of weeks. And much love for that. Good to see you all better, lad. Thank you, Pete, man. Appreciate it. But let's just get into it, man, because I think we need to. So the biggest topic right now is obviously signings for QPR. You know, we've got a lot of talks going on with certain players, a lot of rumours. Now, I don't publish certain things on my channel that I'm not 100% certain on, just because of if it's not an accurate source or a trustworthy source, I'm not going to put it out there because I'm not in frame to believe it. You know, so let's get into the first one that was rumoured, and that was goalkeeping. It was so if we go into this quickly, I haven't set it up properly, but yeah, there's a very lot to get into here. Let's have a look. I just need to, sorry about the noise, people. I just need to make sure I find the right one. So the first one was basically QPR are interested in a keeper. You know, we all know goalkeeper situation this season is a must, just because of certain reasons, such as obviously Joe Walsh. Is he going to be big enough for us next season? Paul Nardi's gone, that's been confirmed. And I think obviously Murphy Cooper's is done really well on loan, but is he a Julian player? You know, so we've got to start building around Julian, what he wants and what suits his style of play that he wants to bring to QPR. Obviously he's had a first taste of championship football, but the first big news was QPR were pushing to sign 27-year-old what's his name, Ivan Nevesic. I can't pronounce his surname. He's a 27-year-old goalkeeper. He plays for Dynamo Zagreb. He's Croatian. He's a very tall keeper. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on Twitter about him, in the sense of there is talks of, is he good enough or is he not? A lot of people on Twitter are saying that he is. But a lot of people are saying he looks exciting and stuff like that. Now, I don't know much of him. I haven't done my research quite well because I've been really busy with obviously certain things. But we'll get into that further on into the next couple of weeks with all these rumors. But it wasn't a trustworthy source that I heard it from. But then West London Sport brought it out. And yeah, it kind of looked like we was very interested in a couple of keepers. Now, I believe he is a free agent. He is leaving. There was talks ongoing. Now, like I said, talks are not that big at the moment. It's just talk stage at the moment where there's interest in the player. You know, I can see why they're interested in him. He's tall. He's very agile in certain things I've seen. And he's able to pretty much keep hold of the ball in certain scenarios. So that is number one, what the first target was. Now, obviously, I don't know much about him. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it too much. But he looks interesting. I need to do my investigation on him first to see what I think of him, and then I can give you my honest opinion. That happened obviously last week, I believe it was, on Monday when it came out. Now, there was rumours, obviously, of QPR chasing a young player, a free agent. It sounds like, it says free agent, but I don't think he is. But the rumours came out last week that we was interested in this left back. It was a Polish left back. It was. So his name is if I can find it here. Give me a second. I'm just trying to find the name. Lubericic or something like that. I can't pronounce his name, but he's very young. He's an under 21, I believe. He's 21 years old. He plays for Motor Lublin. Now, I don't know much about him yet. Again, I got to do my research, but I've asked certain people about him, and a lot of people have said he's very, very good on the ball. Very technical, very pacey, and he's very good on the ball. Very kind of what we wanted to see. Someone said to me, very much like Kenneth Powell, but I haven't seen that much footage of him. I've just seen a little few bits and bobs. But for being young Polish under 21, he has international rep as well. And the source is from Pete Aruk, who is a common championship EFL journalist kind of person that brings out some good information on players. Norwich City are also among interest of him, so that to me shows that it's a very big player. Now, according to reports, it's saying that around 1 million plus bonuses. There has been reports that we have put a bid in for him already, but I'm not too sure. There's not been any confirmation on it completely. Now, that came out last week in the left back scenario. But then, I believe it was yesterday that we actually had news of a player that a lot of you have been talking about in the goalkeeper scenario. Now, last season, as far as I'm aware, a lot of you did say that you wanted a certain player at QPR, and because we was very in talks with him last season as well. And it came out yesterday or Friday or something like that. So QPR, and it has been officially put on by the same guy that I've been saying about, who's trustworthy with his links and sources on Twitter. So we are interested in, I believe his name is Sam Tickle. Now, he's a very decent goalkeeper for Wigan. He's had a very good season, he has. He's very highly rated in the Championship. A lot of you like him. Like I said, I need to do my research on him a bit more, but for what I've been seeing on videos of him on Twitter, he looks like a very good shot stopper. A very, very good shot stopper. He looks like he commands his box well, and he looks like he can communicate with the back line. So it looks like we're very much interested in some of the abilities that we need in the summer. For example, goalkeepers and defense is one big scenario that we need. You know, a lot of you have said about Tickle a lot last season. I can say last season now because the season's officially over. But you lot have said Tickle. I need to see a bit more about him. I trust you guys if you think Tickle's worth it. Now, obviously, 1 million I think is the bargaining price for him, for what I've been told. A lot of stuff has been obviously going on about different keepers, different players, and going from there. But these are the only transfers, latest news at the moment that I can tell you right now that are more gonna happen, which is Tickle and that left back. The other goalkeeper, I don't believe the sources are strong enough to say that anything is gonna happen. There's interest, but that's about it. But Tickle, if this guy is on the Twitter going on about him 110%, it's gonna be a valuable source to say it could happen. You know, we'll have more in-depth information on him in the next couple of weeks. I will do my best to bring that towards you guys. You know, obviously this is a quick rundown today just to keep us live, keep us communicated, show you that I'm alive still. But yeah, big transfer rumors coming out of QPR in the first couple of weeks of the ending of the season. Absolutely brilliant. Usually we don't get this that far. Last season it was just basically rumors of manager replacement of Mike Fuentes. So it looks like we might be doing our business early yet again, hopefully this season, and hopefully we can bring in the targets that we need. Like I said, goalkeeper, one of them. Wing backs, full backs, we need them for sure. Do we need a centre back? I reckon we do with Steve Cook gone. I know obviously we brought in Ronnie Edwards and we have some good young talent, but far as I'm concerned, for what I saw with Tylon Smith and some others, I just don't think they're ready yet for the Championship. I think League 1, League 2, if they go out on loan to them, could lift the spirits of QPR and lift their spirits. But we'll see what happens with them. Hopefully they can reach the heights to what we all expect from them. But it's big at the moment for, like, big challenges. Honestly, big challenges. I personally can't see them hitting the first team or sub benches next season unless they work super hard. Unless they work super hard. You know, Clarkson, I don't know what's going on with him. Like I said, we will be making sales this season. Yet again. Well, not yet again, but we're making sales to obviously make sure that we can bring the right players to the right price. So yeah, be expected of that news coming out soon, hopefully. But right now, my thing that I want to talk about, apart from obviously the transfer news, is that QPR have obviously officially announced who they're letting go. You know, now I'm a bit gutted and upset. Do you know what? When I heard this news, I don't know if this is what got me ill last couple of weeks, but it obviously, I did pull it out on Twitter. I'm a bit upset about it. I don't know about you guys, but QPR obviously did announce that they were getting rid of obviously certain players. Now we know Paul Nardi's gone. He said goodbye. We know that I believe there was another player as well. I need to go and check the news yet again because I haven't seen it. Let's have a look. Give me a second. We'll get into everything. I know obviously you guys saw the Alo Diarra thing on there, but we'll get into that in later on in the day. I just want to confirm the absolute news that obviously who's left. So first things first, Nardi, Hamer and Hayden have all departed QPR. Paul Nardi, obviously there was some scenario going on at the club that we've not been told. You know, we saw him play one game at home at the end of the season there. You know, I wish him the best. I know we all do. You know, we can't hate Nardi. Nardi was terrific for us for the last 2 seasons. I love him. I think he's brilliant. I think he's one of the most exceptional keepers that I've seen at QPR since League Camp. Paddy Kenny, I was about to say Paul Hart. I don't know why. Ben Hamer, yet again, look, it was difficult for him. I feel like we only brought him in for backup. I know he played a couple of games and obviously he got injured by Steve Cook. That kind of sucker punched him to miss out a lot. So big shout outs to Ben Hamer as well. Hopefully good luck to him. And then obviously Isaac Hayden. You know, it's a bit of a confusing one with the Hayden one. did we just give him a 1-year contract last season? I don't get why we brought him in if that was the case. You know, waste of wage, in my opinion. He hardly played. You know, I think we all respect Hayden. You know, he done a great job with us under Gareth Ainsworth, I think it was. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, Hayden... No, it was Marty Fuentes. My apologies, Marty Fuentes. You know, Isaac Hayden, you know, to see him come back to the club last season, but obviously him letting go, you could see that he wasn't a part of Julian's plans. 100%. Julian wants to bring in his players and go from there. So, big shout out to all three of them. Hopefully they all do well in the future. It was great to see them at QPR and do well and go from there. Now, the shocking news for me, obviously, they announced 7 development squad players are leaving QPR this summer. So, first things first, Noah McCann, Alfie Tuck, Jake Coombs, Jake Lee, Jack McDowell, Rowan Vaughan and Joel Holiday will all be moving on to the club. Now, Noah McCann, who's been at the club since 9 years old, a Scotland Youth International, you know, I'm a bit shocked that he's left because we did trigger an extension in him, obviously being at the club for a long time. Now, I felt like he was highly rated at QPR as a youngster, Noah McCann, but it seems like he's gone, he's not wanted. You know, obviously, we've seen Paul Furlong go, and maybe that could be to do with it as well. Alfie Tuck, someone that I always thought could fulfill the boots of Sam Field, honestly, at QPR. You know, Alfie Tuck was QPR bred completely. I liked him, highly rated him. Look, the loan spells of all these players weren't great in the sense of where they were going to in the club. Personally, that's how I see it. You know, for me, if you're going to send players that you want to progress, you don't send them National League. You know, you try and get them into a League 2, League 1 club if possible. But obviously, if they're not good enough for that, then it's going to be difficult for them to understand, or difficult for us to understand, how are they going to be QPR players if they can't develop properly. Jake Coombs did an extraordinary job last season, I thought, in the development squad with all of his goals. Bit shocked with that. Jake Lee, I think, was out on loan. Jack McDowell, Rowan Vaughan obviously did a great job out on loan in, I think it was Ireland. So big outs to him. Obviously him not continuing his career at QPR. And also Joe Holiday, who was recently brought to the club, obviously, as well, last season from Tottenham, being released there. Obviously, it looks like he's not been chosen to stay at the club. Apart from that, let me know your thoughts on them players, on what you think. Should we have let them go? Should we have given them more of a chance, an opportunity? But as far as I'm concerned, I'm a bit shocked that Alfie Tuck, Jake Coombs have been, and Rowan Vaughan have all been let go. You know, big ups to them. Hopefully they do well in the future. And you never know, we might end up doing a Paul Smith with them. We might bring them back to the club and go from there. So yeah. Let's see, QBR Ryan says, saw somewhere that personal terms were agreed. I'm guessing it's bullshit. Listen, look, I'll be honest, unless it's a legit thing, I was proven wrong last week, I'll be honest with you, with this scenario of the whole city situation, not the whole city, the situation between Middlesbrough and Southampton, where I was very surprised that got sorted out like that, if that makes sense. And it was brought out on Twitter by a person that doesn't have that much recognition on Twitter. So yeah, I was very shocked to see that. With Hayden gone, will we bring in another midfield? Well, we need to. Honestly, I believe that our midfield still needs revamping. We're probably going to end up getting rid of Varane, possibly. You know, Sam Field looks like he could be going back to Norwich if they want to sign him. But personally, we need to bring in a number 8, and that is simple as that. We need a number 8. There is a couple of names that I can think to mind that I want. You know, obviously one player that rings to mind is Hayden Hackney, but I don't see him coming to the club personally. He's been exceptionally great this season, I think. I've been very impressed with him. But personally, for me, I don't see it happening. You know, it's too good for us. I know a lot of people probably say not, but I can see him in the Premier League next season. More season coming, doing really well there. So yeah, for me, you know, when it like I said, I've got a lot of names on the tip of the tongue that we could possibly bring in, but I think right now, you know, a lot of rumors are coming through. Until I can find out more a legitimate source, then I can give you a guarantee that obviously like the Ronnie Edwards scenario and stuff like that we brought into this chat, obviously when that was happening. So yeah. And he says anyone who isn't making waves wherever they go on loan in lower leagues is unlikely to cut it in the championship. Tuck looked technically good, but lacking physicality required for the championship. It's a good point. That's actually a good point. I wasn't thinking of it that way because of his, you know, in my opinion, right? I know a lot of people say physicality is a big thing in championship, but where he plays in midfield, I'm not comparing him to the player, but if you look at Conte or Kante, whatever his name is, in midfield for Chelsea, Leicester, physicality wasn't there for him, but he was exceptional on the ball and he done an incredible job. So for me, I think that's why I wouldn't really look at his physicality, because I've seen exceptional talents in a very less less physicality in that midfield to improve anything. You know, I think the championship is brilliant. I think it's physical completely, and I've seen exceptional players. You know, the one thing I would say is, depending on how QPR play next season, then yeah, okay, 100% physicality is probably needed. Koki Sato, for example, did he fit it in it last season? Not really, not brilliantly. A lot of work needs to be done with that, I think. The way he plays is brilliant. I think he's an exceptional talent, Sato, but yeah. I think he lacked so much on that wing with support as well last season. So yeah. Hang on. Oh, right. Here you go. Say hello. Go on, say hello to chat. Go on, say hello to chat. Look. She's been missed. There we go. You got there. Cool. Right. Madden struggled with the physicality championship to start with, but toughened up, which is why. But I think the reason why Madsen was so good last season compared to when Marty is because Marty didn't like him. I honestly believe Marty didn't like him. Marty never played him, and his position with Julian was completely different to what Marty put him in. So I think that whole thing, that aspect there, has been a whole breath of fresh air for QPR. We need to build the team around Madsen next season for sure. We do. You know, he's our like Alejandro Fallen said, he's our maestro. He's our main guy. He's the one that we need to build around for sure. So if we need to bring in someone to work with Madsen, 100% agree. You know, but it needs to be a certain player. Do we play with a defensive midfielder, or do we play with a box-to-box midfielder to work with him as well, or a playmaker or something like that? You know. But for me right now, the main concern, I think the attack is fine. The attack is brilliant. I'm not going to judge it. I think it's been great. You know, we've scored goals in every player up front. So I'm not going to say anything on that on a negative level. But fullback wise, let's be honest, right? Fullbacks are a big thing for us this season. In the coming season coming up. You know, that is the big promise. Fullbacks is what we need for sure. And personally, for me, top targets, this Polish player that we've seen, okay. But for me, what I've seen, one of them is the Arsenal development player. I'm actually just going to search his name again because I can't remember. I can't remember his name. I genuinely don't know how I can't remember his name. It's mad. I genuinely can't remember his name. What the... How can I not remember his name? Arsenal under 21s. I need to look at this because I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. It's mad. Where is he? Josh Nichols. That's it. Josh Nichols. So the first thing for me, Josh Nichols is someone that I think we need to look into. Josh Nichols, for sure. So that's one target that I would say is a big thing for us. Josh Nichols. He's an exceptional right back. I think you do really well in the championship. So shouts to Josh Nichols. If you have a look at him on YouTube and all that. I've seen him in a couple of development games. Obviously, he did play in the game where Emerson Sutton got us into the under-18s FA Cup further on. And he was brilliant in there. Who else was there? Devlin, that was it. Now, everyone wants Devlin. 100% everyone wants Devlin. We spoke about it last season. We spoke about it in chats on watch-alongs. We spoke about it constantly. Terry Devlin is a must signing for us from Portsmouth. 110%. He will be a good signing for us. Physicality in the championship experience. And he is an exceptional player on the ball. You know, give him a look at. I know most of you know him because we kept bringing him up. Here, I will honestly constantly talk about a certain player like what I did with Harvey Vale, like I did with Ronnie Edwards. You know, I will do my best to put acknowledgement at QPR for this player. Terry Devlin is someone that should be at QPR for sure. 110%. Very exceptional player. At Portsmouth, would be exciting for us to bring in. So, and he can play in that number 8 as well. He can play in the number 8. I've seen him play in number 8. He's done really well. And he would be very cheap as well for QPR. So, Terry Devlin is another talent that I would be interested in going on from there. But those talks, unless rumours come out of them, we'll see what happens. But we would have to push that on Twitter a lot. Yeah, again, like we did with Ronnie Edwards. So, yeah. Kante is physically small, but along of those African players are exceptionally strong. And Benga isn't big, but he is exceptionally strong. I'm not sure that in this case would talk. I agree. Okay, I agree with that. But I've seen him in development side, and the way he plays, he might not use his strength, but he uses his mind and his ability to understand what he needs to do, in my opinion, in a great way. You know, you possibly are right, 100%. But in pre-season, I think I saw some decent things, I would say. But yeah. Apart from that, going away from transfer news, and obviously release players. I put a short out the other day of it. Alou Diarra, our assistant head coach, has left QPR. Give me a second. So yeah, Alou Diarra has left QPR. After spending 1 year at QPR with Julian Stefan. Now, has he left for an actual head coach role? I'm not too sure. I personally think, did Julian want to bring him in? I'm not too sure. My thoughts on it are very simple. I don't know I don't know him that well to basically judge him in a way. If he was to do the attack for Julian and helping him, 100% brilliant. As a midfielder, did he do a great job with Madsen and work with them guys? Okay, cool. If he did, he done an exceptional job. Defensively low was really bad. It was just absolutely terrible last season. For the last couple of seasons, our defense have been appalling. Absolutely appalling. It needs work on a lot, and I think all of you can agree with that for sure. Our defense have been really shocking in the last couple of seasons. So yeah, personally for me, we need to work on that, and it needs to basically go from there. Alou Diarra obviously has left now officially. Hope for all the best for him. He seems like a decent person. He wants to chase head coach role like Julian. He's basically gone on there at Julian to learn some things. And all the best to him, honestly, all the best to him. Now, when it comes down to us with assistants, who are we bringing in? Well, there's no rumours yet on any assistant coming in yet for replacing him. Obviously, they're probably going to look into it and see what Julian wants to use. This is the type of time now what we're going to say and see, right, is he going to bringing someone that he's worked with before that he trusts at Rennes or Strasbourg? Is he going to bring in someone that he wants to work with, or are they going to promote Kevin Betsy? You know, Kevin Betsy has been at the club for a couple of seasons now, and you know, he looks very, very strong about QPR. You know, he looks like he's very interested in development at QPR and staying at QPR. You know, he's done an incredible job with this role he does with working with the players and the young talent, giving them exceptional roles and objectives and going on from there. It's pretty decent in my opinion, but I personally don't know what's going to happen. There's no news on it yet, but we go from there, really. Ala Diarra's left and we end it there. And he says, do you think Julian should stay? I'm still not convinced he's the right man to take us forward. Personally, for me, I understand your guys' opinions on him. I understand it, the frustration. You know, you got to kind of look at it in both ways, though. You can't just focus on the fact being that the way he's come in, obviously, and lost games or whatever. In my opinion, for what I've seen with Julian, I want him to stay. And there's a reason for that. I haven't seen us attack the way we have like that in many seasons, for many seasons, you know. To win games, you got to score goals. And we've been doing that. The way he plays that ball on the attack, so much better than Marty Fuentes did. So much better. Marty seemed to play this a patient game, which was not working. And we were struggling with goals. We was. And like I said, the only thing we was lacking was defensive ability in the championship for the last couple of seasons. Julian has come in, improved our attack. Now, the defensive problems we've had, is it to do with Steve Bold? I'm not too sure, but it still needs work on. And if Julian can be a part of that to work on, or whether we bring in someone else or whatever, I don't know. But for me personally, Julian Stefan has shown great tactics attacking. I want him to stay. I think he's very influential. I honestly believe he'll be the one to get us promoted, whether that's this season coming up or the next. But guys have got to look at it this way, right? How a football club is run. Yeah, cool. I get the fact being that, you know, we've had terrible times this season, okay? But we can't just lay the blame on Julian all the time. We can't lay the blame, because that's all we seem to be doing, is either blaming Julian, blaming Joe Walsh, blaming this player, that player. You know, Kone's shit, he's not scoring. You know, the main concern for us right now, what we need to focus on is our fitness team. Why are we getting injuries? If we're losing valuable assets to our team, how are we going to do good performances against teams like we need to, you know? That is what we need to understand. Okay, cool. What Pete just said. The 4-4-2, okay, I get. You know, I'm agree with you. I don't get it, you know, but 4-4-2 at the time was, if we want to talk about it, it was being very stable. You know, he's been in a comfortable position. You know, it was working for us for a while, but when the injury started coming yet again, it failed, you know, and that's what we need to look into. We can't just blame Julian for having, look, we finished 15th, okay, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm a diehard QPR fan, very diehard QPR fan, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this, okay. Now, for me, I can easily admit this, and you guys might hate me for it, but we're not a great team. Let's be honest, we're not a great team. QPR are not a top 6 team or top 2 team at the moment. Our team is still rebuilding. If you sack every manager constantly after whatever, it's technically a rebuild you're doing all the time. You know, Neil Critchley, right? Fucked this club up big time, right? That old time has gone now. The old times are gone. That's gone. Christian Urin is trying to build something. He brought in Marty Fuentes. It didn't work. He brought in Julian. Julian had, in my opinion, a good start to his career in the English division. Yeah, we finished 15th, but this guy took us into the top 10 more times than Marty Fuentes did, you know? And the championship is becoming more tougher and tougher each season. So for me, what I would say is this. We need to back Julian. We need to look, we're going to lose games. It's going to happen. But we need to look at what the problems are, then putting the blame on someone that is is, in my opinion, not the fault. You know, yeah, Julian will put his hands up and say, all right, cool, that was my fault. And he's done that at times. And we got to respect that. Because look, we haven't had a head coach that goes to Coventry, gets bummed completely by Coventry 7-1, and then says in his interview, this will not happen next week, it will change. And it did. He backed his words. And this is what we got to kind of look into. That's a head coach that we want. Someone that we can trust and rely on to be that guy who puts his words, his mouth, his money to on his mouth, money to the mouth, whatever it is, you know the saying. Put your money where your mouth is. That's what it is. And that's what he did, you know. So for me, I like Julian. I think he should stay. And like I said, from the start of the season to October, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I always say give him till the end of October. That is enough time to understand where we're going. If we're in a relegation zone by October, okay, I'll put my hands out and say sack the guy. But I honestly think that Julian Stefan has brought something to this club that no manager has in the last 2 seasons. Or 3 seasons, I should say. You know, our attack is on point. The players we're bringing in are on point. They're really good talents. We're not just bringing in these random League 1, League 2 players to build up and sell for 10 million, whatever it is, you know. Look, Eze was a diamond. I agree, 100%. But at the end of the day, right, we got to look at it this way. We're not going to be that club all the time. You know, we're not going to be that club all the time. We need to be patient. We're not a great club at the moment. We're still building. And we go from there. We do. You know, I back Julian all the way. I will back Christian Nuri all the way. Because they have shown me what they can do with QPR. You know, and the fan base, you know, they're going to have mixed emotions about it. And if they want to back him, cool. But if you want my honest opinion, back him. Honestly, just back him. Because when we give up on this, it just causes so much shit, man. So yeah. Yeah, Pete, see, Pete, I understand that, what Pete has just said. I want him to stay, but not the 4-4-2. And he says, I just think he's made a lot of terrible tactical decisions. Look, there has been times tactical decisions have not been great, but that happens with everyone. That does, you know. There's going to be times where we make the wrong decision in subs just because of certain plays, right? So I agree with you on that, but at the end of the day, that's a part of learning, and he's learned from that, you know, from there. I'll back Junior if he shows he's learned from his mistakes, but if not, he'll have to go. We need someone like that manager Hull got. But the problem is, right, the manager that Hull's got, right, that's a different kind of approach to everything, because you got to remember, right, they've brought a manager in to work with the squad that they have right now, you know, and they've done incredible. Don't get me wrong, Hull have done incredible this season. I will put that there. They've done incredible. But the thing is he going to do well in the Premiership? That's the thing. Julian will probably do well in the Premiership. And we'll find out from, like I said, I'll hold my hands out. If he does a shit job from October, from the start of the season to October, I'll put my hands out and say, okay, cool, he's got to go. 100%. I'll agree with you. But right now, we need to back him. You know, I've seen good things from Julian. I think he's the one that will get us promoted. And, you know, if we are going to go for a replacement person in that category, we need to look at someone as an upgrade, not a downgrade. Someone that we want to work with, someone that will bring in a good tactical formation and such stuff like that for the Championship. David says, with the money in the Championship next season between teams, we have to buy clever. 100%. And that's why we're trying to go in for probably Tickle and all these other 1 mils free agents. You know, we're probably going to work on the development side. We've released a lot of players in the development. Like I said, we're going to work on the development side probably at the start, and then we're going to probably work on some other aspects as well in the Championship. You know, there's a lot of young talent out there that we're probably going to go for, and we've got to be sensible in the market. So yeah, a lot of things need to happen. We need to work hard on that and hopefully have a good pre-season. You know, it looks like we're going to Austria and go from there, really. So yeah, and we'll see where it goes, because at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to next season. I really am. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. a lot of stuff, news coming, obviously, and hopefully you guys are going to be happy with the channel. So yeah, but we're going to leave it there for today. We are. We've been on for about 45 minutes. I think that's enough time for the first DB show of the new coming season coming up. Great to chat with you guys. Honestly, it's good to be back. We've had our time off, and the grind continues from now. So a lot more news to come soon. If you want, put a comment below in transfers, in whatever thing you feel like you need to, and we'll go from there. But apart from that, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you to Eleanor, West 12 Pete, Ryan as always, Andy, who else we got here, David, and yeah, we'll see what happens, man. But we'll go from there. Apart from that, have a great evening. Good Sunday to everyone. Hopefully you drink a lot of water, because it was pretty hot. It's going to cool down now, hopefully. That was another reason why I didn't stream, because obviously I was fucked completely. The heat was mad. Apart from that, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to. Peace, love, positivity to all of you, man. And we'll catch you real soon. Have a great evening. Peace out, people.